You are listening to the New Book of Daniel podcast. Hello and welcome to the New Book of Daniel podcast. My name is Daniel Bobinski. I'll be your host on this adventure. And welcome to our new format. I'm going to be doing a series of news updates. Try to do these daily from now on. I've been really taking a lot of time producing the videos and getting all that looking sharp. And I've just decided I'm going to try to do more of just an audio approach. So if you're hearing this and not seeing this, that would be the reason why. And we're also going to try to get on some more podcast platforms. So this is the New Book of Daniel, and I'm going to be talking a little bit today about the obvious news, and that is voter fraud. Of course, if you mention that on social media, chances are your post will get flagged. And if you really irritate them, they may even disable your account. I've seen several people have that happen to them, and it's kind of crazy. That's total totalitarianism. Where they get off thinking they can do that, I have no clue. You might want to consider switching over to MeWe, M-E-W-E, or Parler. Parler is going to be a little more like Twitter, and MeWe is going to be a little more like Facebook. In fact, a lot more like Facebook. I kind of like the MeWe version better. Parler has that really faint typeset, and my eyes aren't the best, and I have a difficult time reading that. I wish there could be a little more contrast there. If anybody knows a way to adjust that, please let me know, because apparently I'm not tech savvy enough to figure out if that's adjustable. Something else you can do is the health ranger, Mike Adams, has opened up a couple of new social media channels for us. One of them is a video channel. As you might know, Mike Adams got kicked off of YouTube. He's also known as the Health Ranger. And Mike presents a lot of natural cures. I don't want to say cures, but natural treatments for sicknesses and illnesses that aren't, quote unquote, approved by the FDA. And so they said, well, this can't be, and our doctors aren't making any money, our pharmaceutical companies aren't making money, and they just totally turned off his channel. Thousands of videos just gone. So Mike took what he could, put it up, and created an entirely new platform called Brighteon, B-R-I-G-H-T-E-O-N, Brighteon.com. And he also created Brighteon.social, which is an alternative to Facebook and Twitter. I did open an account over there. I have not yet spent any time there yet, so I can't testify to that. Another video platform you might want to check out is called BitChute. Neither one of those are going to censor. If something gets uploaded to BitChute or Brighteon, those go through a process, and those are not going to get taken down. So as YouTube becomes a little more draconian and Facebook and Twitter become more authoritarian, you might want to start looking at other media platforms. I highly recommend it. I'm posting a lot of stuff on MeWe and Parler at the same time as I do Facebook and Twitter. In fact, sometimes I'll just put something on MeWe and say, hey, I go to the other sites and go, hey, I just posted something pretty cool over at MeWe. You might want to go check it out. And I always encourage people to sign up over there. So please look into that. Something else I want to talk about today is this election, and that is the stealing of the election. We have Joe Biden, who is, gosh, what do I see, the fraudster in chief. The dude is lies, and they project so much. I cannot believe how much they project. Whenever you hear Joe Biden accusing somebody else of doing something or not doing something, rest assured, Joe Biden is either doing that or not doing that, as correlating accordingly. In fact, on election eve or election day, he said, we need truth over lies. And I thought, he's telling us to vote for Donald Trump. Thank you, Joe. So with all of this is what I call the voter fraud scam, right? We got people all over the place doing voter fraud. And I wrote a column, I think last week, called Decision 2020. Some are choosing while others are cheating. And you can find that over on uncoverdc.com. It's called Decision 2020. Some are choosing while others are cheating. And I talk about how voter fraud is very real. And I give example after example after example of verified voter fraud. Even though, Twitter and Facebook are out there telling us that election experts assure us that vote by mail is safe and secure. No, it's not. But there's one article that I hadn't come across that just amazed me, and it didn't make it into that column. So I want to talk about it here today. And I talk about this in today's column for Uncover DC. The title of the column is "A Call for Voter Fraud to be Considered Treason." And I really believe that. It's about this article that I'm going to cite in this article that I wrote, and I'll be talking about here now too, is an article in the Texan, paper down in Texas, and it cites two affidavits from investigators who are alleging that Texas Senator Boris Miles, a Democrat from Houston, and Harris County Commissioner Rodney Ellis, Democrat from Precinct 1, are leading an election fraud scheme. And they're doing this in cahoots with a guy named Dallas. Where'd the guy's name go? Dallas Jones. And Dallas Jones happens to be the director for the Biden-Harris campaign in Texas. Let me say that again. Dallas Jones is the director of the Biden-Harris presidential campaign in Texas. And in this article, they accuse these guys of going out and harvesting ballots, collecting ballots from nursing homes, retirement homes, going to the homeless, having the homeless people fill out a registration, but the ballot harvester, he uses his own home address so that the ballot comes to his house, and then he's got the guy's name and he fakes the signature. They're even going to people's mailboxes and taking ballots out of mailboxes, filling them out for Democrats and forging the signatures. This has already been reported to the FBI. I do not know what the status is. However, it's been going on for a while because the article says that the county clerk in Harris County resigned in May of this year because she was concerned about being arrested for election fraud. Think about that. May, June, July, August, September, October. That's 6 months ago. This has been going on for 6 months. Hopefully the FBI shut it down. But let's just do a quick review. We have the state director for the Democrat presidential campaign. We have a state Democrat senator. We have a Democrat county commissioner. We have Democrat employees in the county clerk's office who's helping work on all of this. I'd say they're all committing fraudulent ballot harvesting on a massive scale. In fact, that's what the investigator said, the guy who signed the affidavit. You probably didn't hear about it because these are Democrats. And I can guarantee you that if that was all Republicans instead of Democrats, you'd probably even have Walter Cronkite rising from the dead to tell you about it every night. It would be the lead story all day long, every day between, then and the election. But you're not hearing about it because you've got, the Democrat Party and the legacy media. They're in bed together. Now, when I look at this, I go, this is beyond voter fraud, especially given our current situation. And I don't know about you. I mean, I go ahead and read that article on 2020, the choosing versus the cheating. And all of those are verifiable outcomes where people have been found to be ballot harvesting and cheating on mail-in ballots. All the articles in there on mail-in ballots. But how many of those people really do time in jail? They usually just get a hand slap. Don't do it anymore. Now, if you go to the U.S. Code, the penalty for voter fraud is not more than $10,000 or imprisoned for not more than 5 years, or you could get both. I don't think I've ever seen any news article anywhere where somebody got that full punishment of $10,000 fine and a 5-year prison sentence. Never seen it. I think when you consider Joe Biden, we got plenty of evidence now that this guy is compromised by the Communist Chinese Party, that they could easily blackmail him and hold him over a barrel. And lots of other countries probably could too. The guy is so corrupt. There's plenty of evidence out there. I should say allegedly, so I don't get banned on a channel. But there's plenty of damning evidence, plenty of indications that our Democrat candidate for president is totally compromised. And therefore, I believe that any kind of fraudulent voter activity is not just voter fraud to be punished that way. I believe it's treasonous, because we're trying to put someone who could sell America down the river real fast by helping to get this guy in office. And so I say we need to start putting people in jail for treason, charging them with treason. And let me define treason for you here according to the American Heritage Dictionary. It's the betrayal of allegiance toward one's own country. It's betrayal of someone's trust or confidence, or just a betraying, a treachery, a breach of faith. When you take a look at our electoral system, we really do put faith in the system, and they're breaching that faith. I believe that voter fraud equals treason. And what is the penalty for treason? Well, let me fill you in. The first option is death. Yep, death by hanging, death by electric chair, death by lethal injection. That is an option for treason. And then let's say somebody says, let's not kill him. Let's just stick him in jail. Hey, great, because the options are a little more strict. With treason, it's not less than $10,000. You get fined not more than $10,000 for voter fraud, not less than $10,000 for treason. And for voter fraud, you would get up to 5 years in prison. And for treason, it's not less than 5 years in prison. So I suggest that a reasonable prison term should be about 20 years, and a reasonable fine would be $1 million. That would all fit in the legal definition of penalty for treason at this time. Not less than 5 years? Yep, 20 years sounds great. Not less than $10,000? Yep, $1 million sounds great. So I'm going to say we need to push and really overhaul our voter fraud system, our electoral system in this country when Trump gets reseated as president. That's one of the things he needs to work on. It's totally overhauling our voter system. I look around today and I do not want this again in 4 years. We have to wrap this up, tighten it up, make it a foolproof system. And there's several ways we can do that. I've seen several ideas floating around. Maybe we can talk about more of those in the time to come. So with that, I'm going to wrap it up. I'm going to encourage you to keep your head up. I do believe that President Trump will eventually win out. His lawyers are doing a very good job of saying we're going to only count legal votes. Of course, the press is misrepresenting him. They're saying that Trump is saying we need to stop counting all votes. That's not what he's saying. He's saying we need to stop counting the illegal votes, the fraudulent votes. We need to count only actual votes. So I do believe when all the dust settles, and it may take a few months, but I think I really believe in my heart that President Trump will serve a second term. With that, I'm going to wrap up. This has been Daniel Bobinski with the New Book of Daniel podcast. If you got a question for me, you can send me an email. Just use newbookofdaniel@outlook.com. And it's newbookofdaniel@outlook.com. And of course, you can always check out my writings on politics and the issues of the day at uncoverdc.com and also at redstate.com. Got a couple articles, new articles up on each one of those websites here, so go check those out. So we'll wrap this up, and until next time, be blessed.